Hello and welcome back to another episode of Sitar Gurukul. As you have all heard that I just added an extension, but if you asked me exactly what I did, I would probably not be able to recall. And that is the goal, to be as spontaneous as possible. It doesn't have to be written down, neither does it have to be memorized. You just have to understand what's really going on inside. You have to understand where the notes are going, what notes are meant to be in the specific rag, in this case Yaman, that you're playing. You should have a mental map that will evolve with you of the tal that you're on. For example, we are dealing with Teen Tal Vilambit, the slow tempo 16 beat cycle, infamous tal that we're dealing with. So you should have like a mental map of it. So you, just by listening to the strokes and not really paying any special attention to it, you're going to develop this sense that is going to keep on telling you where the count is. It's going to count for you, so you could concentrate more on what you're playing. Now, having that said, if it is not there yet, that is completely understandable, because things like this, it requires years of time, and when you're having fun and learning it the proper way, those years are going to shorten down to months, metaphorically of course. You're not going to feel like that you have spent so much time with the sitar, because when you're having fun, time flies. So in today's episode, we are going to try to extend the new rhythmic pattern that we have been recently discussing, and I have already played the first part for you. If you think that you have any troubles understanding the core principles of it, or if you just want to get yourself checked out if whatever you're playing is either correct or not, you have my email address that should be showing somewhere right now. You can always mail me and I'd be more than happy to reply. Now, the second phase, I might change my mind when I personally play it, and so will you. But for now, it's good to have a textbook to follow. So in today's episode, I'm going to show you a tiny extension of the rhythm that we played. And on the next episode, I'm going to wait for you guys to pick it up. And on the next episode, I'm going to show you how to play it with the rhythm or with the tabla in Teen Tal Vilambit. So here's what I've thought. You've ended with the Thehai. So for the coming few cycles of Teen Tal, we are going to always take the last 4 beats and save it up for a Thehai. And eventually we can use the last 16, the last 4, then the last 8, and the last 12, and eventually the last 16. And maybe wrap it up with a Chakradar Thehai before moving on to the next material. So the last Thehai was rather simple. And then you come back, and then you should go towards that side. So if you remember anything, when we were learning a little bit of Yaman Alap, I told you to divide this into 3 zones. So provided that you've understood that, we are going to use the same technique for materials such as this. We are going to explore this part, and then we are going to make way, or unlock as I would like to call it, for this portion and eventually this. But in Alap, you do not have the limitations of time. You do not have the ethos of hurry. So because there is no tempo involved. So when there is a tempo involved, you always have this hurry that you have to compete with the tempo, because if you're too slow, once you've taken a correct your desired tempo, if you're too slow, the entire performance, the very meaning of the entire performance, the energy level of the entire performance is going to come down, and we don't want that. So you want to keep going on forward, and when I say forward, I mean this direction towards the pa, ni, eventually sa. So what we are going to do over here is we are going to take a few notes and combine them into this format that is going to cover up the next cycle. And for this, we can go up till ma. I, however, prefer playing something that ends in ma and not pa, because that is going to create a special place for pa when you eventually play pa. So we could play something like this. So one of the 4s you dedicated to establishing ga, the first note that you have played after you have played this zone. So ga, as we all know, is a standing note in Yaman. So 1, 2, 3. This is what I have thought. So you end with the tehai like this. So here we are going to take a theme within a theme. Now, what do I mean? So you're going to run out of ideas pretty soon if you keep on playing this rhythm over and over again, because the limitations, the possibilities are very limited. Because if you keep on, so the main thing over here is that you're applying this tiny bit of Laikari theme, which is like a polyrhythm, but it's one of the more simpler polyrhythms to do. So over here, what we are doing is we're going to take some other kind of a formula, if I may, some kind of other collection of notes that sound a little bit sharper, because when it's a little bit sharper, it generally is more attractive. So as I was saying, we are going to use that format, the last one, and we are going to make an extension of it. So as I was saying on the last class, that we ended our first 16 beat on that format with this tehai. So after that, we are going to extend this composition of this format towards the pa. Now, I would personally, what I would like to do is not go towards the pa, but not show pa. So I want to do something with ma. So ma is strictly prohibited to stand on in Yaman, because it can disrupt a lot of the melody that we've already established. So what we are going to do is we are going to use pa in a way that we get to land in ga. So typically you would do something like this, You could use the combinations ma, re, ga, because that does not disrupt the rules of Yaman. So we could play another format within the same format and use that as a temporary composition to play tan on. Now that is going to extend this form, and it's going to allow you to play for another good 5 to 10 minutes to build on this. More on that later. But first we need an entrance. We need to establish this new form into our audience's minds, so it doesn't really sound very disruptive. So let's fix that line first. Here's what I've thought. You end at sa. 4, 3, and then sorry. So the second line is you stand at ga. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. So 2 lines. 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, and so maintain that. I want you to take out your notebooks right now, and I want you to write down the combinations that I'm playing, because since I try to be very impromptu, on the next class I might forget. So the notes that I'm playing is, so after the tehai, one, 2, 3, 4. 1. So after you're done with the first 4 cycles after that tehai, you spend all the first cycle or the first 4 you spend it on sa. The second 4 you're going to spend on ga. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. So the first 4, the first 8 is gone. Now you have 16. You have more 8 left to complete the 16 cycle. So that's not much time. So you can't do much over here. So you have to be really. You have to plan ahead on what you're going to do. So sa is done. Ga is done. Now you want to do something that's going to let you establish ma, but it's also going to let you have enough time to come back to a more stable note, a standing note. For example, ga. For example, over here. So 8 is left. 1, 2, 3. And it's going to add up. So what did I do? Ni sa, and then ni re ga, and then ni re ma re ga. Over here, I'm using something that we've already discussed called the Krinthan. So over on the last Krinthan episode, I believe I showed you something like this. So this is going to be another kind of Krinthan where you go forward instead of backward. So it's in English, in guitar, they also use the word hammering for it, if you understand that better. And I'm sure you're going to figure this one out. It's rather easy. So one more time. This is going to need some figuring out to do, because it's almost too easy to get derailed from this rhythm when you have so much going on. But once you practice it for, I don't know, a day or two, you're going to start to notice that it's really deception. There is really not much going on, but it sounds as if a lot is going on, and it's going to really thrill your audience because they're going to be really trying hard to hang on to that rhythm. So that's it for today. On the next class, we would like to put this with the rhythm and figure out what the next Tehe is going to be. Till then, take care, happy Rayas, and bye-bye.